Now, listen up.
3, 2, 1.
It's showtime.
That's great. This is ridiculous.
99.3 The Truth.
You can't handle the truth. Right now.
Ooh.
That was the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Let's do it.
Hit it.
It's time for Mac's World. And here we go.
Everybody, let's get it started. Let's get it started.
Call Mac 244-0077 or text 809-0993.
It's showtime, everybody! Showtime!
Exclusively on 99.3 The Truth.
Good afternoon. This is Mac's World Live. Chris Roloff sitting in now as Mac, as he talked about there in the first hour, he's going to go interview one of those cardiologists. So he stepped out of the building, but that's okay because this hour we have James Weiss and Lauren Merkle of Weiss-Merkle Financial. Guys, good to have you on with us.
Good afternoon, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
I always look forward to this because you guys are the two sharpest dressed people that ever come into this studio. Like, hands down, you guys look great. You know, you guys should be on TV. You guys look so good.
Yeah, we should.
Now,
we spend some weekends doing that too, Chris.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. That's what I've heard. So, actually, plug that for me. You guys are on TV locally, right?
Yes, every Sunday after the Iowa Realty Show with Mike Pace, we come on at 10:30 till 11, where we talk about a lot of these financial strategies. We talk about the new age retirement planning and how to successfully transition into retirement. And we do that every Sunday at 10:30 on ABC5.
Fantastic. Oh, man, on ABC5?
ABC5. Well, we do also run sometimes on KCCI, but
okay.
The one that I know every Sunday is on ABC5. And then also on Monday mornings, you can find us live on Channel 23 News at 9:30 every other Monday, too, because we're live on the news segment at on Channel 23.
Well, Channel 23, I get. See, a lot of people don't know this, and I might need to fix this, but I'm pretty poor. I just got one of them antenna things, you know. You remember those with the tinfoil? Oh, no, they don't have tinfoil in them. So I get antenna television, and here in Urbandale, Channel 5 doesn't come in very good, but Channel 23... I get that, so I'll have to wake up early and get that. So they're here with us. Bob Montserrat, the cat in the hat watching the chat, is here with us. Frank, the Verse Thomas, is here as well. Jeb producing. I'm Chris Roloff filling in. So, guys, today's broadcast is for anybody 55 plus. If you're under 55, that's me. You're not even allowed to listen. You have to turn. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Not quite, Chris.
Not quite true. See, I'm telling the false truth. You guys are here to keep me honest today.
That's
all right.
That's a tough order.
That's a tough order. I make stuff up on the fly. That's part of my job.
That's fine.
All right. So what we're going to do today is we want to open up the phones. If you've got questions about retirement, you're approaching retirement age, you're in the retirement phase. You guys, I think one of the early times we talked with you guys, you all work with people that are already in retirement and find themselves in difficult. They haven't planned well, right?
Yeah, we're retirement specialists, so we work with people who are 55 and above within 10 years of retiring or already retired. And we work on putting together the plans of how are you going to deliver your income not only at point of retirement, but also 10, 15, 20 years down the road. How do you save with tax mitigation strategies, Social Security options? You may have up to 81 different Social Security options, everything retirement.
Okay, and so if people have questions for you guys today, this is their show. This is a pretty cool opportunity for the next hour. It's your time to ask these guys the hardest questions you can come up with, and they're pretty smart. So you can do that by calling us at 515-244-0077, or you can send us a text at 515-809-0993. And why don't we start there with our first kind of question from a text question that came in at 515-809-0993.
Well, it isn't a question, but it's a statement.
Uh-oh.
Oh. Okay, here it is.
This is all off the cuff, so.
It says, I went to a Weiss-Merkle event on retirement. Very informative and helpful. Lauren and James were informative, helpful, and not at all boring. I appreciate the info that I received. Yeah. Some in my head and some in my notes and the hefty notebook. I will study the notebook. While I did thank them, please feel free to pass on my thanks again. And it says, thank you, Mac, for having them on your program. Best to you all.
Well, very good.
That's the text.
Well, that's good feedback. We like to hear that type of feedback, whether it's positive or negative, and obviously that's clearly positive. That's what we try to do. There's so many different options, so many different decisions that pre-retirees and retirees have to make. Where do you go to gain this information? And that's why we do these classes, is because there's one concise area that you can find out all the things that are relevant to retiring successfully.
Yeah.
So it's good to hear that type of feedback, and we're actually making a difference.
And there's going to be an opportunity for folks to see you guys face to face here coming up on Wednesday.
Wednesday. Yep, this Wednesday we're going to host an event at Prairie Meadows. It's not at the casino. It's at the steakhouse, at AJ Steakhouse, where we're going to share the new age retirement strategies that we think are most important in constructing that retirement income plan. Because, believe it or not, 63% of people enter in retirement without a written comprehensive roadmap. Most people will go into retirement planning more on where they're going to spend their time or vacations or travel than really laying out, well, where am I going to get all this income from? What election do I make with Social Security? What decision am I going to make with my pension when I get that packet in the mail after I leave? What decision am I going to make with my 401k when I change my job, or I'm no longer with that employer? What am I going to do with that 401k? And what strategies do I need to take to make sure that I'm not paying unnecessary taxes? I know I've gotten the benefit of it growing tax deferred, but now what happens? And all of that should be diagnosed in that retirement plan to say, how do you coordinate all of these different moving parts so that you know what it looks like 5, 10, 15, 20 years down retirement? It's not a product, it's a plan, and that's the comprehensive plan that we advocate for.
And if you've got a question for these guys right now, you can give us a call at 515-244-0077, or you can send us a text question at 515-809-0993. Weiss-Merkle Financial are here. They're here for you right now, and they're going to be live and in person. You can meet them and get a lot of these questions answered this coming Wednesday. Now, if they want to go to this, how do they do that?
They have to have an RSVP confirmation to get into the event. They can do that right now calling 515-278-4110. Again, that's 515-278-4110. We've got people there that'll answer the phone right now if they want to make an RSVP reservation. We do have a limited amount of seats. We've held 10 seats for today's listeners for the event, so we can't accommodate all the listeners, but the first 10 people that call in, we definitely will save a seat for them at this event. If you're over 55 and thinking about retirement or not even sure where to get started, this is a great event to take the first step.
Now, Bob, you went and saw these guys in person not too long ago, and how was your experience?
Oh, it was very good. I have to agree with the texter that said it was very informative, no pressure. Here I'm a scientist, and I think I know a few things about science and other things, but I was totally ignorant when it comes to retirement financial stuff. And that kind of bothered me because I knew there was a lot of information, and there are many choices you have to make. And I didn't know where to go. Matter of fact, I tried to read up on Social Security information, and it's kind of like, I don't understand this. I see a commercial on TV that says, "Did you read? It's lawyer talk, blah 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 blah," and you just kind of give up.
Yeah.
But you guys make it easy. You make it easy to understand, and then if you have any questions, you'll go ahead and clarify, the answers to those questions.
Yeah.
Frank?
Last time you guys were here, I think it was, you mentioned 10,000 people are retiring a day.
Right.
These are what we refer to as the baby boomers. I was joking with you before the show. I saw a commercial on TV that was talking about the emphasis of the commercial was that, hey, we know how to diagnose a problem, but we don't fix it. So you guys know how to actually not only analyze somebody's portfolio, diagnose their portfolio, so to speak, and then give suggestions how to fix it and correct the ship, so to speak, before it's too late.
Yeah, not only is it a portfolio diagnosis, but also a retirement strategy diagnosis, which is probably even more important. So the portfolio element is just one component of it. But really from a total retirement planning strategy, what Social Security options are going to use? How are you going to cover the long-term care risk that is prevalent in many retirees' situation? How are you going to cover health care if you retire prior to Medicare age 65? So if you retire at 62, how are you going to cover that gap until 65 before you're eligible for Medicare? All of this is a part of the the complex notion of retirement that pre-retirees have to kind of wade through as they make these tough decisions. And Bob, as you mentioned, there's not one place to go out there. So taking Social Security, you may have up to 81 different options. If you go to ssa.gov, there's all kinds of nice, relevant information out there, but it's not very concise. And so if you're looking for what is your best strategy, the one place you won't find it is that website.
Right.
Right? I mean, you just get lost in the shuffle of all that information. And that's how many of these retirement planning matters are.
Because, Lauren, that's just data, right? I mean, that's
right.
that's the point. That's just a lot of information. How do you make that a roadmap? How do you direct where I'm going to go? What am I supposed to do next?
Yeah.
It's hard to know. If you've got a question for James Weiss, Lauren Merkle, Weiss-Merkle Financial are here, 515-244-0077. You can call in and ask them, or you can send us a text. We can have that read on the air as well at 515-809-0993.
Yeah, I think one of the things I learned in the class, well, actually, it was more of a frightening statistic.
Yeah.
That pensions are kind of going away.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I heard about that, like some of the police forces or unions, they're losing their pensions. I mean, what's that all about? They just can't sustain it? Poor investment, or what's the deal?
Bob, that's interesting. I was just reviewing this chapter in our new book that's coming out this September, where we talk about the pension legislation that was created in December of 2014. And so what took place in December of 2014 is that there's a certain segment of pension plans that now can cut retirees' benefits by up to 60%. So not only are many pension plan providers decreasing the amount of participants that they're offering pensions to, so fewer and fewer retirees are going to have access to pensions. But even if somebody retired 10 years ago and they've been receiving $2,000 a month from a pension payment, their pension payment can potentially be slashed by up to 60%. And that's due to that legislation that was enacted in 2014.
If you've got a question, Weiss-Merkle Financial are here to answer it for you. 515-244-0077. Or you can send us a text at 515-809-0993. Hey, and you can see them live in person this Wednesday. Call and get your tickets, 515-278-4110.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Hey everybody, I brought Northern Lights Pizza! And it's got Graziano sausage!
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
21 minutes past the top of the hour. This is Max World Live with Weiss-Merkle Financial. It's your voice we want to hear today. If you've got retirement questions, are you retiring? Are you about to retire? You guys were just talking about this off the air. There's a lot of people moving into this non-working stage. Is that the right term, non-working or retirement stage? How many people is that?
Yeah, the latest study that I saw said 10,000 people a day are retiring, and that will stay that way for probably about the next 15 years or so.
And many of them, you guys were saying, are not quite prepared for that.
7,800 of the 10,000 feel less than very confident about their retirement.
So that's probably you. If you're in that state and you've got a question about your retirement, they would love to answer your questions or help walk you through some of that right now. If you'd like to, call them. 515-244-0077, or you can send us a text at 515-809-0993. And you guys are going to be doing a class. You guys have a class this coming Wednesday out at AJ's Steakhouse at Prairie Meadows. Tell me about that again.
Yeah, it's a 1 hour class, so it's one of our shorter classes that we cover the new age retirement strategies. It's going to get started right at 6 o'clock on Wednesday night. If you're 55 and older and you haven't started with retirement, or you're not sure where to get started, this is the first great step to come out. We're going to introduce you to some of the strategies you should be thinking about as you might transition into retirement. We might show you a couple new strategies you've never seen with Social Security. I know we've talked a lot about Social Security and the 81 different options. A lot of retirees still have that on the table, even though new laws have come into place this year that make it seem like if you go out on the internet that all those options are gone. But if you're 62 or older, those are still all on the table for anybody 62 and older. So we want to make sure we're getting the most out of that. How do you coordinate your 401k? I know Mac's been talking a lot about, what do I do with my old 401ks? Should I consolidate? What are some of the rules I need to be aware of? There are new rules that have come out too, and if you don't get it right, you could blow the whole thing in one misstep if you accidentally do it incorrectly. So we're going to enlighten people about here's how you do it and some of the strategies that you want to think about when it comes time to those types of things, along with coordinating your IPERs or your pension, or if you're retiring with a pension, a lot of times that's coordinated with Social Security. So how do we put all those pieces of the puzzle together so that you know what it looks like and have the confidence in retirement 5 years from today, or 10 years from today, or 20 years? What does this look like? So many people go into retirement with no plan. They put more emphasis planning their vacation than they do their retirement. And I think a lot of that's just due to procrastination. They don't know where to get started, or they think their financial product is their plan. Their 401k is their plan. And that's not a plan. That's just one investment vehicle that has to work together with everything else. It's not going to be a one-size-fit-all product solution. You've got to have all of that coordinated, and they all work together if you want to maximize your hard-earned dollars that you might have worked 30 or 40 years for.
And you can listen to more of that, learn more about this, and have dinner too. How's that for a fat guy selling you on food? AJ's Steakhouse out there at Prairie Meadows. This is a dinner for anybody 55 plus. Weiss-Merkle Financial, the new age retirement standards. To get your tickets, you do need to RSVP for this. So to do that, I've got a special number to call. You've heard this before. It's not special. This is the Weiss-Merkle Financial number, 515-278-4110, 515-278-4110 to go to the dinner. That is this Wednesday out at Prairie Meadows AJ's Steakhouse. But if you've got a question for our guys right now, you can call us at 515-244-0077. Frank?
Back after 2001, I don't remember the particular airline that went bankrupt, but supposedly they're
United,
possibly. But their retirement obviously went kaput because they couldn't support it, and it was said that the government had that plan insured or whatever. But I heard someone talking about if GM ever goes bankrupt, which they did, that would make the airline company that went bankrupt look like child's play. So this leads to my question: Are all or any of retirement plans insured by the government? Are they all backed by the government? Some of them backed by the government?
They're backed. They're all backed by the government. It's to what percentage they're backed by the government, and each one of those pensions has what we call an underfunded or overfunded provision within the pension plan. And so, depending on whether the plan is underfunded, that's where some of these pensions, negotiations came in. And so, for example, we'll use the United example. A lot of the United employees that were retiree benefits found out that their pension was exposed to being reduced. I mean, we've seen some of them as high, they have the ability to cut it as high as 65%. So, that was the big surprise that a lot of people did not, typically when you elect a pension benefit, you think of it for life. And again, this is why we advocate so hard about putting together this planning, is because what if someday, 10 years into retirement, you wake up and you find out the pension that you were enjoying so much and it was paying for all your fixed income was reduced by 50%. Let's say you were living off of a nice $2,000 a month pension, and now you get a letter that says you're only going to get $1,000 a month. Well, what's plan B? Where do we make up the shortfall for the extra $1,000 that we weren't anticipating to make sure we maintain our standard of living? These are some of the strategies that we talk about in that retirement plan too.
Explain it a little bit. Is it anything like what we would call in automobile insurance being something like underinsured or uninsured or underinsured?
Yeah.
In other words, is there some similarities there for the layman out there?
That's a good comparison. That's a good comparison to say. I think what the listener needs to realize is just because they have a letter from their employer-sponsored plan doesn't mean that payment is going to be there for their entire life. There are still a chance that they could have that reduced. And I think part of the planning is to do an analysis to say how well funded is that employer-sponsored plan. And right now, a lot of employees that work for employers that they're not sure if they're going to be around 20 years from today also have a lump sum available to them at retirement. And now this is where it really gets tricky, because you've got to weigh out the pros and cons of using maybe a lump sum from the pension, because if you do that, I've seen a lot of mistakes where they've taken lump sums and put them at the stock market where they've lost a lot of money, and then they're not able to retire. So we've got to make sure that if you do those options, that you understand the pros and cons and where maybe you might create a personal pension, because that's one of the keys in retirement. Is there's strategies out there where if you're not wanting the employer to have control, you could simply take a lump sum from a pension, put it into your name and into your control, and create your own pension, because once it's in your Social Security number, guess what? Now it can't change. Then if it says you're going to get $1,000 a month, you never have to worry about the employer ever getting in trouble and coming back and cutting it, because if it's in your name, that $1,000, the only person that can change it is you. And now you don't have that risk of having an uncertain day wake up where you get a notice that says, hey, I'm not going to get that full pension that I originally thought.
I had another question I wanted to ask, and explain to me how this works, because I don't know all the intricacies of it. But I hear about people who are dipping into their 401k, either borrowing against it or taking money out. Do you actually take money out of a 401k, or are you borrowing against it?
You can do both.
You can do both?
Yeah, depending upon your situation, largely your age. So if you're under the age of 59 and a half and you're still working with that employer, then the main ways you can take money out is, one, if they do offer a loan provision underneath your plan, or two, there's a hardship withdrawal provision underneath the plan. Now, if you're age 59 and a half and above and you're still working for your employer, many people don't realize you can do an in-service withdrawal, which means you don't have to pay taxes on the withdrawal. You roll it over to your own name, your own account in the form of an IRA, and now you don't have to worry about any changes that your current employer makes to their plan. Now, in that circumstance, what we advocate for is use the 401k plan for what it's designed for. The 401k plan is a very good contributory vehicle because oftentimes you do get free money in the form of an employer match, and it's very simple. It's very simple.
Well, if someone was, say, around the age of 45, less than 50, you wouldn't recommend, that wouldn't be good recommendation by you to start borrowing against your 401k, would it?
No, not traditionally. No, if you need money and you're 50 years old, going to your 401k and taking a loan against your 401k is typically not the best route to go.
Yeah.
But it is an option that is considered many times.
And there's some special rules that are around that too. I mean, the maximum you can take from your 401k in a loan is $50,000. So you do have some limitations about how much money you can take out of the 401k. And of course, the interest that you're paying it back. So I've seen the argument out there where some people think, well, I'm just paying that interest back to myself. Yes, but you're also losing that eighth wonder of the world, which is compound interest, because the money that you pulled out of there is no longer growing anymore. So it's a pretty expensive way to borrow money, especially when you can get a home equity loan at 2 or 3%, or there's so much other cost-effective ways of getting borrowing money than a 401k.
Well, I think you mentioned, how does hardship play into this?
The hardship withdrawal, you have to qualify, and the details are written in the plan document. But you do have to qualify, and you have to provide information to the plan provider that says you do qualify for the hardship withdrawal.
And that alleviates what? If you qualify for it.
What that alleviates, it's not that it alleviates, it just gives you the ability to have access to this money while you're still working with the employer. Because otherwise, underneath the hardship withdrawal, because not all 401k plans offer loans. So maybe you don't have a loan provision, and this 401k plan is all the money that you have in the world. You need money due to a disability or whatever it is, then the hardship provision is there.
Are there tax implications on that?
Yes. Yes, you do.
Even
have to
on
pay,
hardship?
You have to pay taxes at your ordinary income bracket.
But just to clarify, with a loan, you're not. So when you take a loan from the 401k, it's not a taxable event yet until you default on it or you quit your employer and can't pay it back. Then it becomes a taxable event. But at the time of the loan, it's not taxable. And a lot of times that's why we encourage, people that are over 59 and a half, take advantage of what the IRS has allowed in in-service distribution and a lot of these plan rules that the employers have opened this up to be able to get it into your name and into your control. Then you don't have to worry about all these other plan rules that Lauren's talking about. You don't have to follow their plan documents. Once it's in your name and into your control, then you can take a distribution, and you also eliminate that 20% withholding. Because that's the other part of it. If you take a hardship direct from the 401k, or you just simply take a distribution because you're over 59 and a half and you're in retirement age, there's a 20% mandatory withholding. And that means that if you do it in February or January and you say, I want to take $100,000 out, you don't get a check for $100. You only get a check for $80 because 20% of it, or $20,000, goes to federal withholding. So what if you don't want that money to be sitting in the IRS for the next 8 months? Well, if you had it into your name and into your control, that mandatory 20% goes away, and you can take the full distribution without having that mandatory 20%, which is pretty key in retirement planning, because that's when most people want to start taking money from their 401k.
I could see Chris's head is spinning with all of this information. And he's going, man, by the time you're ready to retire, it'll all be different.
Yeah. Well, that's absolutely true. Want to be? It feels like it's changing every day, doesn't it, guys?
Yeah, and that's part of the benefit of having a specialist on your team, is because you do have to keep on track of these changes.
Right.
Changes are taking place all the time, just like what we saw recently with Social Security. And you have to know how this affects you.
So do you have to go to some kind of school to keep up with the new regulations?
Our school is the school of hard knocks.
I was going to say, you guys are always learning something.
Sure, there's formal studies with this, but the most beneficial aspect of this is the experience. I mean, you can't. On the job training is always the best training.
How does this sound to you guys? Were you just hearing your situation being explained, or did it sound like, man, I need to hear some advice from these guys? Give us a call, 515-244-0077. Weiss-Merkle Financial are here for you.
Northern Lights Pizza's amazing garlic butter makes amazing breadsticks. Now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer. I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs,
And I'm the service manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed. Fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Good afternoon. This is Max World Live here on 99.3 FM. The Truth. Weiss-Merkle Financial are in studio to take your call right now at 515-244-0077, or you can send us a text with your questions about retirement at 515-809-0993. And this Wednesday, James, you were just telling me you're going to be having steak all by yourself.
Well, steak, chicken, or fish if you're looking for a healthier version.
Wait, steak's not healthy?
Well, some people don't think it fits in their diet.
Yes. Well, if you want to have the fish option, that's available too.
Salmon.
Ooh, wow. Smoked salmon's pretty nice.
It is.
Smoked salmon's very nice.
But Chris, the main entree is going to be the valuable information that people learn as far as retirement planning.
Whoa! Did you hear that? I like this guy. All right, so you guys are going to be at AJ Steakhouse letting us know about the new age retirement standard that you got. Retiring is not the way it used to be. You know, I'm thinking about what you were just saying in the break. My dad is in retirement age, and the way he did it, right, is not the way that I'm going to have to do it. And it's not the way people that are retiring right now. It's not like what it was when their parents retired. So there's a lot of new information out there, and it's confusing and a bit overwhelming, to be honest with you. And you guys are here to talk about how to make the right plan, not just have a product, but have the right plan going forward, right?
Yeah, we do, and that's why we advocate so much in entering into retirement with a plan. It's not, well, I have a 401k, that's my plan. That's not a plan. I have a pension, that's not a plan. That's just one part of where you're going to get income from. You've got to coordinate all of these different benefits, your savings, your pensions, your 401ks, your IRAs, your Roth, tax, health care. Do I own long-term care? Do I have life insurance? Do I need to have my house paid off and when? All of these decisions that you might be thinking about as you're driving home today from work saying, gee, that just seems like so much. I don't even know where to get started, which I think, Chris, is that one thing that people procrastinate on, not even getting started. This event's probably one of the best first steps to say, you know what, it's okay not to know where to get started. Just show up at the event. We're going to teach you some things that you've probably not even thought about. We're going to have a great evening followed by a wonderful dinner at the event. There's no products. We don't talk about any single product at all in the event. It's all about strategies, how to put together a financial plan. What does the roadmap look like? What should I be considering? What we talked a lot about on the radio today. How do I make the most out of that?
And that's 6 p.m. this Wednesday at AJ Steakhouse there at Prairie Meadows. If you're 55 and older, you need to RSVP for this right now. We've got 10 seats to give you. Not just to you. There are 10 seats available right now through the radio program. At this time, there's someone ready to answer the phone. Call Weiss-Merkle Financial right now at 515-278-4110. You're familiar with that number. Now use it. 515-278-4110 to go this Wednesday. It's a 1-hour class, right? And then followed by food, fun, and fellowship, as they say.
That's correct.
Right? That's this Wednesday at 6 o'clock at AJ Steakhouse, Prairie Meadows. But you do need a ticket. Call 515-278-4110. I felt like I was getting the look from over here. Did you guys want to add anything else before I let Frank talk again?
Yeah, I wanted to add that one other piece about you were talking about your dad's retirement, and it's not the same strategies.
Yeah.
We were talking a little bit. It's like I think back to maybe in the 70s, when you first bought a car, how easy was it to change the oil on that car? I mean, grab a wrench, crawl underneath there. The oil filter was right there. Now think about changing the oil in your car today. How many people do that themselves?
Right.
Very, very few people do that. That's because of the technology. It's gotten a lot more complex. The same is out there in the investment world. I mean, the great thing about technology, it really helps us informed and empower decisions, but that same level of needing that professional advice that you're competing against and having a specialist like a certified financial planner like Lauren or a chartered financial consultant like myself, to have those people on your team. It's not like your dad when he entered retirement where, he could, take a pot of money down to the bank and live off of 10 or 15% CD rates and things would be fine in retirement. Today, now we've got to really understand all of the complexities when it comes to your 401k, rolling over life cycle funds, IRAs, Roth conversions. I mean, we talk about this every week on our TV show, but we really need to understand how all of this going to get coordinated and not feel overwhelmed, because I don't want the listeners today to think, there's just too much to think about. Just take that first step, come to one of our events, come to one of our classes, start to get educated on knowing what does it take to put together a retirement plan so you can retire with confidence, knowing that you've done the right steps.
Retire with confidence. Attend the event this Wednesday, 6 p.m. Call to get your RSVP tickets right now at 515-278-4110, 515-278-4110 to get this information. Now, Bob, you experienced this firsthand, and these guys made sense to you, right, Bob?
Oh, yeah, they made sense. I mean, it took a few hours for it to sink in. I mean, I'm just saying that I'm kind of thick when it comes to this stuff. But I wonder, on Social Security, I could take it at 62, and I'm 64 now, and I haven't taken it yet. And I was just wondering, what's the percent of people, maybe you know or don't know, that actually take it before they are at 100%, at 66 or 7?
Yeah, the last study that I saw is about 60% of people execute their benefit prior to the age of 63. So between age 62 and age 63, about 60%.
And it's usually because there's really a big need there, I'm assuming.
Well, that's a part of it. And we saw a spike in that after 2008 when people's portfolios dropped so much. They had to have this extra income. Social Security is a place they can go to receive that income. But in our experience, many people turn it on due to misinformation that's being spread out there.
Right.
Misinformation like Social Security is going broke, take it while you can get it, that type of sentiment. And so what we advocate for is take it at 62 if that's the best fit for you.
Right.
But look at the other options and do your research to make sure that you are making the best decision for you and your family as it relates to Social Security.
Right, because the Social Security, if you wait, every year you wait, you get a certain percentage more in your check, correct?
Actually, every month. Every
month.
single month you wait, there's a higher percentage. From the period of 62 to 66, if 66 is your full retirement age, it's a 25% increase. From age 66 to 70, it's a 32% increase in total.
That's pretty significant. You can't find that really as far as getting it from a bank account or a CD or anything like that, as far as an interest.
No, not at all. That's one of the changing aspects of retirement is interest rates used to be much different. You know, in the 80s, when my grandpa retired, you know, he could take his savings down to the bank and he could get 10, 11, 12% in a guaranteed investment. And that's just not the
you're
the
talking
way it works
about
right
when
now.
Jimmy Carter was president. Interest rates were like 17, 18%.
17,
right?
18%. Yeah.
Right.
1982, interest rates were about 19%.
What are they now?
Less than 1.
Yeah.
You're lucky. You're lucky to get a 0.5% in today's rate environment.
Well, that's not good.
No.
Not if you're planning on retiring
And
you want to be safe with your money. No, not at all.
No, that's not the way to do it. So, you guys were talking about that with cars. It's absolutely right. This is becoming incredibly complicated. So, if someone's in that situation, that's all they've been doing. They just tuck the money underneath the mattress. They've saved it away for a rainy day. They know God's going to provide. So, I've got that money in that cookie jar. I'm going to be just fine. What do you say to that person?
Well, I would say that, well, what if there was a way that you could still have that cookie jar, but have it growing for you at the same time? I think the message is that, you know, we want to be good stewards of the money too. And if we can apply some strategy to where you can still be risk-free, so I'm not saying go out to the stock market or anything like that, but what if you could find a strategy that's better than the bank, where you're only getting 0.5%, where you could get that money working a lot harder for you? For example, maybe you could get 4 or 5% guaranteed out there. Shouldn't that make a little bit more sense in trying to make that money work a little bit harder than maybe the traditional, I'll just leave it in the cookie jar and not think about it kind of mode?
Yeah, absolutely. If you've got a question for Weiss-Merkle Financial, give us a call at 515-244-0077 or send us a text at 515-809-0993. Now,
got a text.
We got a text. We'll go
The
to
question is simply, what time is the event on Wednesday night?
It's at 6 p.m. at Prairie Meadows. So if you go straight through the front doors, there's AJ Steakhouse. They've put a brand new sign because they just remodeled the whole place, and they've got a big sign out there that says AJ Steakhouse on there. You can't miss it. If you come through the front doors, it's at 6 p.m., but you do need to have an RSVP to come into that event.
And to do that, just call right now, 515-278-4110, 515-278-4110 to RSVP for the New Age Retirement Standards with Weiss-Merkle Financial this Wednesday, 6 p.m. at AJ Steakhouse.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for the opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
Northern Lights Pizza, your home of the tasty crust. Our garlic butter sauce now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
You guys, these are great. Weiss-Merkle Financial are here in studio. We're wrapping up. We got 8 minutes left. They've got an event coming up this Wednesday, 6 p.m. at AJ's Steakhouse at Prairie Meadows. Starts at 6 p.m. It's this Wednesday. Feel like I don't give all the details out, but we get text asking. And we did get a caller who wanted to know if this event is free, and the answer is yes. There's one big giant hurdle they have to overcome, though. They have to pick up the phone, and they have to dial a number. Now, I don't know if people know how to use the phone. Maybe they've forgotten. I think most people know how to use the phone. If you know how to use a phone and you're 55 years or older, call 515-278-4110 to get your free tickets to the New Age Retirement Standard class. Look at that. That was with confidence I said that, too.
That was good, Chris. That was good.
Class, maybe? Something? So New Age Retirement Standard, because what we're talking about here, guys, is this retiring today is not like it was yesterday. We related it to cars, kind of like idiots like me can understand. We're talking about this. The battery in my minivan died, and it was like impossible to even try to jump the thing to figure out how to hook on the whatever to get to the battery, because it's not like it used to be. I had an old Honda Civic. That thing, the battery was right there.
Yeah, just open up the hood and
clip it on, boom, ready to go. Need to change the oil, just get under there, boom, change it. It's really good. Cars are changing. We know that. The technology's changing. But retiring has radically changed and is continuing to change. And you guys know where it's going and how to help people navigate that road, right?
That's right. And information is out there everywhere with Google and the internet. You can find information on about any subject. What we're starving for is the wisdom. How do we apply the right strategy? Like Bob was sharing, it's like I went out to the Social Security Administration to look up one strategy. I read one thing, and it seemed like I went to the next page, and it said the exact opposite and contradicted it with all these different terms. How do I know which one applies to my situation? Or a lot of times with investments, so we get this big prospectus that has this big book that's in a plastic wrapper, and it says read and understand all of this. What does that mean? How do I understand what does that mean to me? And quite frankly, a lot of people don't want to know all of that. But for us, we want to educate people to make empowered decisions. We want them to understand why it's so important to enter in retirement with a retirement plan. Less than 7% of financial advisors, there's 475,000 financial advisors in this country, only 7% does retirement income planning or wealth management planning. Every other advisor out there, all they do is recommend products or in the sales mode or trying to convince you to buy this product or this mutual fund or this stock or this annuity. That's not the success to retirement. What makes you successful in retirement is having that income plan to know how do you coordinate your Social Security. How do you get the most out of your 401k? What's our tax strategy from what should we convert to a Roth? How do we turn on our pensions? Do I do it straight life, period certain, survivor? All of those different options have to be coordinated, and that strategy needs to be in a written document. It needs to outline what does it look like today? What does it look like 5, 10, 15 years down the road? One of the other things that we always start with is our PAR review process. So that's our portfolio assessment review that says, where are you today? Where are the hidden fees? Where's the hidden risk? How much risk? And whether you work with us or not, one of the things I can promise everybody that ever comes in and visits with us, you'll walk out of our office knowing where you stand today, whether we do business or not. There's no cost or obligation. It's our analysis to say, where are you at today, so that you know what questions to ask your current advisor, or you know how to make some adjustments yourself if you're doing that yourself. We always advocate you got to know where you're at, know where you're starting today. If you want to get somewhere, there's two ways to get there. You could do no planning, and we say, don't plan on failing, right?
Right. Absolutely. Weiss-Merkle Financial, they're our guest, and they want to instruct you. You can go to this class, New Age Retirement standard class this Wednesday, 6 p.m. at Prairie Meadows AJ Steakhouse. 515-278-4110 is the number to call to RSVP. 515-278-4110 to RSVP this Wednesday, 6 p.m. at AJ Steakhouse with Weiss-Merkle Financial. Bob, you had a question? You had your finger up anyway.
Well, I was kind of like going like...
Oh, you were touching
anyway,
your nose, yeah.
No, we have to remind everybody that they could go free, but they have to call and contact.
That's right. This is free. Wednesday is free. The event is free, but they do need to call to RSVP.
Right, exactly.
So it's 515-278-4110 for those free tickets.
Yeah, we won't just have empty seats. If you show up that night, if you haven't RSVP'd, we have to have all those orders pre-ordered in before the event that night. So that we need to have those RSVP prior to that. We won't be able to let them in just the night of at 6 p.m. So do pick up the phone and make that RSVP today.
515-278-4110 Weiss-Merkle Financial.
When the last of these so-called 50 million baby boomers retire that was born after 2 years of World War II, do you guys foresee a day when there's actually more retirees than there is workers? And how do you counsel young people? I mean, I'm sure you counsel 55 and older, but you counsel younger people too, right?
We do specialize on the pre-retirement and retirement side. So the exceptions that we make as far as counseling the younger generation is kids of the families that we represent.
Right, because you guys are retirement specialists. That's what you were talking about before. You guys aren't just trying to sell a product, buy this, invest here, do this. You guys want to help people who are pre-retirement or in retirement make a plan and be successful and live healthy, live that long life that they're expecting to have, and be financially healthy doing that.
Yeah, in the accumulation phase, what you're trying to accomplish is significantly different than what you're trying to accomplish when you're 55 and above and within 10 years of retiring or already retired. So therefore, the strategies that you implement are significantly different, and that's where we spend our focus. That's where we spend our time, is in the retirement strategies.
So if they're retiring at $10,000 a day, you guys ought to have potentially plenty of clients.
Right.
It's not because of a lack of clients. I mean, there's people out there that need this advice. About 22% of them, you say, actually are confident, and 78% don't know up.
Other than procrastination, what do you think is the biggest thing that people have to overcome to make a plan for retirement? What's the biggest hurdle?
Well, confusion. And James mentioned it. There's information out there all over, but how do you take that information and apply it to you in a meaningful way that you can understand in a very simplistic format of how does this impact me? You know, as an example, how many people knew about the pension legislation that was enacted in 2014? How many people know that you have up to 81 different options with Social Security? I mean, where do you go for this information? And then take that information and apply it to you in a meaningful way. It's a daunting task.
I also think in this town is a little bit unique too, because a lot of this town has people that work for a large insurance company, or they work for a large firm downtown or something like that, and they say, "Oh, my brother-in-law, he's handling all my finances," and then you ask another question and you find out, well, he's just the IT manager of XYZ insurance company. I think a lot of people get that advice from their family members, because that's, talking about money is a very intimate conversation, and knowing who to trust is a challenge. And so sometimes people are just in that mode where they just take advice from a family member because they work for such a large company. And, that, I think, is where some people don't realize they need to have an expert on their team. They need to have somebody that's all they do all day long. We've seen the stories of, I made my investments through my neighbor that said he was doing it part-time at night after he got off work. Think about that strategy. Or if they come knocking on your door and they're selling investments, how powerful, what kind of mistakes could be happening if they're not specializing it every day.
That took it.